Hey UConn Nation, it's KK Arnold here. If you're looking for the latest UConn women's basketball content, go subscribe to Listen Up to Phil and Ryan. Go Huskies!
Phil and Ryan on Listen Up. And Ryan, this episode, you're going to break down for us how much Paige Bueckers means to this team and how lucky we are to witness her in this position because we have a strong feeling that Ryan, that she's going to have a great shot at winning it all in March slash April, right? And we all know what we're talking about here. And I tell you what, Ryan, through the injuries she's had, through what she's had to face during her time at UConn, it's easy to forget Paige Bueckers, or I understand why some people, well, a lot of people I feel like did in previous years, Ryan. And you're going to break it down for us right after this short video that we watch. Shout out to NBC. They had her on an interview not too long ago, and she mentioned that pressure is a privilege in her final season. Let's take a listen.
Pressure's a privilege. I'm so blessed to be where I am. I was just the young kid looking up to the Minnesota Lynx dynasty and worshiping them, and like they were everything to me. And so I try to be just a great role model and somebody for the younger generation to look up to. And just as much as sometimes like you have a bad day or like you don't want to do this or you don't want to do that, like every single day I get to wake up and do what I love. It's a blessing, and I never want to take that for granted.
So Ryan, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all you need to hear. And I just wanted to have our own very special episode on this because again, I talked to you before we went on about how important it is to remember how much she's poured out, her heart into this program. And again, I told you on the phone the other day, Ryan. Now I'm not saying anything bad specifically about her, but just think of how many people on your plate that you can think of would have came back like she did. Now, a lot of athletes may have attempted to come back, but again, I'm not saying Paige Bueckers gives up, but Ryan, she could have easily said, you know what, I'll just put basketball to the side and I'm not coming back, but she didn't do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it was just such a relief when Paige announced to the fans in UConn last year that it would not be her last senior night at UConn, meaning she would return for a final year. And so far, throughout these first three games the Huskies have played, she's been just unbelievable. And if she keeps this pace up the whole year, I can't really see how she doesn't win Player of the Year. But we have to remember, just like you mentioned, she didn't have to return to UConn. She could have entered the draft, would have easily been a top three, top five pick. But I think she knew the job wasn't finished at UConn. Paige came to UConn, of course, to win a national championship. And we talked about in each of the seasons, Bueckers has been healthy. She's been so close to lifting that trophy, but they just haven't quite been able to do it. And I think she's coming into this season with a vengeance. She's accepting that pressure that she talked about. Paige has had to deal with that pressure ever since she's arrived at UConn. And especially, of course, the season she got injured, 2021 to 22. Of course, she got injured midway through the season, came back and kind of led the team, and they just fell short in that season in the national championship. And then, of course, in that off season, 2022 to 23, of course, she got injured in the off season, was out for the year, and everybody kind of forgot about her. Kind of wrote her off and didn't really talk much about her when she came back in 2023 last year and absolutely just lit the world on fire. But unfortunately, we know UConn just fell short again. So I think, this pressure so far has been a privilege for her, and she knows how to deal with it. She knows how to lead this team and block out all the noise. So it really is championship or bust this season for the Huskies, and it's a chance for Paige to really define her legacy here at UConn and to be a national champion, to secure her legacy. And I really do think that this is the best chance that Paige has had so far to go out there and win it.
Yeah, I recommend everybody, even though it's a year old, Ryan. Alexa Filippo with ESPN wrote a great feature story on Paige Bueckers about a year ago. It was November, I believe, of 2023. And I love the ending. According to this feature, it said, when you come to UConn, you come to win championships. And then Paige Bueckers, Ryan, this is a straight quote from Beckers, said, there will be no greater feeling than going through all that I've gone through, Becker said, and winning that national championship is the only thing on my mind, on our team's mind. And that'll make everybody smile, right, Ryan? Even you, even you. I see that smile, and I'm not even looking at the camera. Look, but I tell you, it's interesting, right? Because we're not only talking about injuries. Now, the injuries played a huge factor. Obviously, that's what stood in her way the most, in my opinion, during her time at UConn. But again, you talk about, I think last year, even though they didn't win it all, and that's what you're supposed to do at UConn. I believe the way, especially the way the game ended against Caitlin Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes. Do you consider that a major factor in the so-so comeback? Because again, sometimes you have to see the worst in order to be on top of the mountain. So I don't know what your take is on that a year after that great feature article. Obviously, that was written and more has been written after that controversial, game against Iowa. So, hey, you could, my guess, not about injuries, but you could write a whole nother feature story just a year later.
Yeah, and it was such a heartbreaking way to lose. And of course, like we mentioned, the other chances that she's had, during her freshman season, just falling short. Losing in the Final Four, already losing in the national championship, losing in the Elite Eight. So it's definitely been a hard climb for Beckers and the Huskies, and just not being able to climb over that final step that they need to get to lift that trophy. And like I said, I really do believe that this is the best chance they have. Hopefully we can stay injury free, and of course Paige needs to get a little more help, I believe, throughout the season. But Paige, I think, like I said, knows how to deal with all this pressure, and she came back off that injury last year and really proved to everybody that she still has what it takes to lead this team to special places, despite losing in such heartbreaking fashion. So yeah, but still to be able to bounce back from that, kind of shake that off during this off season, and to come back this year and play the way that she has to open up the first 2 weeks of the season here has already been very impressive.
All right, let's go over the comments, Ryan, on that last video. They came through very well. We appreciate each and every one of you guys. Daryl Anderson said Paige will get more help in the next few weeks. That will make it easier for everyone to learn the coaches' scouts.
Yeah, and I think, well, hopefully we get AZ back here pretty soon. Like I've been mentioning before the game recap, she's participated in all of the pregame warm-ups, so hopefully she's pretty close to returning here. Not sure about Caroline or Aubrey Griffin, still a little concerned for them, but I know Aubrey will probably return in about a month or so here, and Ayanna Patterson as well to give the big some relief down low. But of course, Sarah Strong, Jonna L. Alfie, they've been playing great for us, and Ice Brady as well in the starting lineup, been doing her thing as well. So yeah, I think help is coming for Paige. Ashland's been having a great season thus far. So I think as the games go on here, we get farther into the season. I think the team chemistry will start to unravel even more for us. And I think really still the best is to come for this Yukon Huskies team.
I think this is a very interesting one, Ryan. This person said that game made me appreciate Sarah a lot. If it weren't for her defense, we would be in deep trouble. That was a good test for the Huskies. They still need to figure out how to keep the offense going in the last quarter for the rest of the season. They play weakly in the second half in a total of 3 games in a row, which I don't like to see. They can't play like that against other tougher opponents. They need to finish strong at the end. Hopefully, having AZ back can change the momentum in the second half. She usually dominates the second half rather than the first half. I truly wish Paige could have scored one more so she could grab a 30 piece.
Yeah, I think, well, I think you kind of hope that it's because that UConn's had such a big lead in all the three games that they've played going into halftime, and maybe that's why they're taking their foot off the gas pedal a little bit. But of course, it's not really good to see. You want to just, see them keep applying the pressure and keep on building that lead so that we don't have to bite our fingernails later in the season when the game gets closer and these teams start coming back on us in the fourth quarter. And of course, North Carolina, they got it to within single digits there in the fourth quarter, and they went on that big scoring drought. And UConn's defense stepped up a little bit there in the end, and some of that was Sarah Strong. KK Arnold, Ashlyn Shade stepping up and getting a couple steals as well. So yeah, I think that's one of the things that UConn definitely needs to work on closing out these games after they build up such a big lead early on.
One more, Ryan Grobel said UConn. I was thinking about this too, Ryan. I think he's right. UConn would be in a lot of trouble without Strong. That's an interesting take. Clearly the second best player so far, and she is just learning the system. Future All-American as her career progresses. Need to get Fudd back before that December stretch of 4 ranked opponents in 5 games. That stretch is going to be really important to UConn's seeding in the tourney.
Yeah, I don't think we really realized how big Sarah Strong would be. Of course, because we had Patterson, we had Brady, we had El Alfie, but I don't think a lot of us really expected Sarah Strong to just kind of arrive on the scene and kind of take over for the bigs that we have. But yeah, I mean, her alongside Paige, those two have been just playing out of their minds so far in these first 3 games, and have kind of been carrying the Huskies thus far. So we certainly hope Sarah can keep this pace up because she has a good shot of winning Freshman of the Year, possibly. Definitely the number one recruit coming out of high school. That spot was definitely well deserved for her because she's really been putting on a show, and we could possibly be in some trouble if we didn't get Sarah Strong. Of course, that commitment from her because she's really been doing a really solid work down low for us thus far.
All right, Ryan, I'll leave it at that. And when I think of this quote, the comeback is greater than the setback, I think of this right here. That's what I think about. All right, I'll see you later this week for the last check in on Listen Up.